Today on Public Eye News, NMU honors professor and 2 men were arrested for drugs in Escanaba.
Later in the show, I'll be back with weather, and Jillian Wormlinger will have your sports. Hi, I'm Caleb Brydell.
And I'm Jillian Wormlinger. Welcome to Public Eye News. At a ceremony on September 19th, School of Health and Human Performance professor Maggie Moore was recognized as the first recipient of the Mark R. and Eileen Lovell Endowed Professorship. NMU alumnus Mark Lovell, an internationally recognized concussion expert, established the professorship with a $1 million commitment. Moore has worked at NMU since 2006 and has taught full-time in the School of Health and Human Performance since 2008. She began her academic career at NMU with a major in athletic training and concentrations in both biology and chemistry. She has collaborated with professors from other areas, including psychological science, biology, and clinical laboratory sciences. And for the 2019 to 2020 hockey season, Northern Michigan University is offering a unique opportunity to audition to become the university's resident national anthem singer for Wildcat hockey games. Bill Dignight, the director of theater at NMU, says anyone is welcome to try out for the spot. All ages and musical styles are welcome, and groups are also welcome to try out. Auditions will be performed like a live performance and take place on the ice rink, just like the anthem would be sung before a game. The top 3 candidates will be shown on social media, where fans can cast their votes on who the new resident anthem singer should be. Voting takes place September 28th through October 5th, and the winner will be announced at the first home game at the Berry on October 8th.
A large meth bust in Escanaba this morning found methamphetamines and other prescription drugs. This morning, the Delta County Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant for a hotel room that found copious amounts of illegal drugs. This search led to the arrest of 2 individuals, a 48-year-old Munising man and a 29-year-old Escanaba woman, both who were placed under arrest for possession of methamphetamines and possession of analogs. A vehicle and U.S. currency were seized by the Sheriff's Department at the scene, and the suspects' identities will not be released until they appear in court. A lost hiker was found deceased after sustaining an injury while camping. Sunday night, the DNR was contacted about a missing hiker. They proceeded to send conservation officers on a search for the man who was camping off of Big Island Lake Trailhead. The officers found the vehicle and paddled a canoe up the river to eventually find the 29-year-old man at his campsite. The man had cut himself badly and applied a tourniquet to himself, but it appears his efforts were unsuccessful as he was deceased by the time the officers arrived. With the heavy rain not allowing the Michigan State Police to give air support in recovering the man's body, the officers put the body in their canoe and they paddled him back to safety and were met with the Alger County ambulance.
The pride and joy of the National Hockey League and one of the toughest trophies in the world to win was at Calumet. The Stanley Cup was on display as part of a week full of events celebrating Calumet's selection of Kraft Hockeyville, USA. Crowds lined up for a viewing of the cup and a chance to get their pictures taken alongside the historic hockey hardware. One of the handlers of the Stanley Cup said the reception has been great so far. The McNaughton and Gibson Cups were also on hand, as well as former Detroit Red Wings players and Stanley Cup champions Drew Miller and Kirk Maltby. And 60-year-old Paula Bergold of Peshtigo is being charged with the hiding of a corpse, a felony, and with this misdemeanor counts of failing to report a death and obstruction. A neighbor had called police because they hadn't seen Paula's mother, 89-year-old Ruby Bergold, for a long time. The neighbor also noted that Paula was being evasive about her mother's whereabouts. When police arrived on September 13th, Paula had taped notes to the window that read that Ruby had gone out of town to visit some friends. Paula let police in immediately, and after entering, they noticed several things that convinced them to investigate, including unopened mail. Paula admitted her mother was dead and that the body was still in the house in the basement. A court appearance is scheduled for October 10th. And stay tuned. After this break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
On the next Great Lakes Now, bringing back a riverbank habitat in the middle of Chicago.
You only got one Earth. To really be a part of it and clean and help the environment is always the best.
One county on the Lake Michigan shoreline is running out of water. And the race is on to protect a Lake Superior fishery from pollution from century-old mine tailings.
It might be clogging up their spawning habitat, but it's also a chemical pollutant, so it might be toxic to the fish.
Tonight at 5 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back. 16-year-old Greta Thunberg took to the stage this past week and had much to say to the UN and global leaders regarding climate change, repeating throughout her speech that the leaders of today were failing her and all people as they focused more on money and economics. Thunberg is being praised by many who say that the science is so clear that a teenager can understand it, while others declare that she is too young and naive and that she has been brainwashed by her parents and the left wing. Climate change is currently one of the biggest issues being discussed around the world, as many scientists have research showing that we are reaching a point where if humans do not lower their impact to carbon emissions and pollutants, that it will cause irreversible damage to the planet. And President Trump addressed world leaders at the UN General Assembly this morning, but it was a phone call with Ukraine's president in July that was dominating the headlines and causing more Democrats to join a movement to impeach the president. Nicole Killian has more details from the White House.
President Trump arrived at the UN for a speech to world leaders, but a July phone call with Ukraine's president overshadowed his address.
When you see the call, when you see the readout of the call, which I assume you'll see at some point, you'll understand. That call was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer.
CBS News has learned President Trump ordered the State Department and Pentagon to withhold hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine, days ahead of the phone call with the Ukrainian president, in which he is said to have pressured the leader to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
There was pressure put on with respect to Joe Biden. What Joe Biden did for his son, that's something they should be looking at.
The president insists he was not linking military aid to the investigation of his political rival. The controversy surrounding this phone call may be a tipping point in the impeachment process. Democratic sources tell CBS News it's no longer a question of if they will impeach the president, but when.
I think it's ridiculous. It's a witch hunt. I'm leading in the polls. They have no idea how they stop me. The only way they can try is through impeachment.
7 Democratic freshmen in the House from swing districts signed an op-ed saying if the president used taxpayer dollars as leverage for his own gain, then that would be a threat to all we have sworn to protect.
If they want to do it, go hard or go home. Stop talking about it. Go to Amazon, buy a spine, and do it.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who has so far resisted calls for impeachment, will meet with her Democratic colleagues this afternoon. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Americans' diets are a little less sweet, but there is still too much sugar and fat, a study suggests. The biggest change came with a 2% decrease in consumed sugar. However, diets are still too heavy with foods that lead to heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. The study was published Tuesday in the Journal of the American Medical Association, and despite slight improvement, major challenges remain. U.S. diabetes rates doubled during the years of study, and heart disease still remains as the current leading cause of death in America. By individuals beginning to maintain regular eating habits and the continued shift in the food industry, public health efforts seem to be on the rise. And a U.S. soldier is facing federal charges for allegedly sharing bomb-making instructions online and wanting to attack a major news network. He also made reference to a 2020 presidential candidate. Jeff Peggs reports on what we're learning about this soldier.
Private First Class Jared Smith is accused in an FBI affidavit of leading a group chat on Facebook where he bragged about his ability to build an improvised explosive device, or IED. In one message, Smith allegedly told someone, "We can make cell phone IEDs in the style of the Afghans. I can teach you that." The affidavit alleges Smith also discussed a plan of conducting an attack within the U.S. and wanted to target the headquarters of a major American news network, allegedly CNN, with a vehicle bomb. He also allegedly plotted to kill far-left-leaning activists known as Antifa and wanted to travel to Ukraine to fight with a violent far-right group. He was charged with one count of distributing information related to explosives and weapons of mass destruction. Catherine Swite is a former FBI special agent.
This subject routinely provided advice and direction on how to build bombs. That's frightening.
Investigators say Smith also mentioned Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke. According to the affidavit, an undercover agent asked Smith whether there was anyone down in Texas that would be a good fit for fire, destruction, and death. Smith allegedly responded, "Outside of Beto, I don't know enough people that would be relevant enough to cause a change if they died. O'Rourke thanked law enforcement Monday for keeping everyone safe.
We have been sharing any information that's relevant with the FBI.
And stay tuned. After this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
There's a war going on in the heartland. It's all about ethanol, America's renewable fuel. But it comes with some problems. This is a story about our land, our water, our politics, and what goes into your gas tank. We're taking a look at the ethanol effect.
Wednesday afternoon at 3 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back. I'm Caleb Radell, going to be taking you through your weather for today. As you can see behind me on the NMU campus, we have some sun out there shining down on some of our students as they are going off into classes today. Our current conditions outside, partly sunny with a temperature of 71 degrees, winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 29.81 inches and falling. Taking a look tonight, we're going to see some thunderstorms arriving with a low of 60 degrees and winds out of the south-southwest at 11 miles per hour. Taking a look tomorrow, we're going to see partly sunny as that sun comes back to us with a high of 66 and winds out of the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour. Taking a look across the UP, we're going to see a whole lot of sun out there, starting over with Sault Ste. Marie in 64 degrees, 66, and Manistee 68, in Escanaba down in Menominee with 69 degrees. Taking a look at the western half of the UP, 72 in both Iron Mountain and Ironwood. Up the Keweenaw Hope with 73, and back here in Marquette, 72 degrees and partly cloudy. Let's take a look at your week ahead. Now on Thursday, we're looking at a high of 62 degrees with a low of 50 and partly cloudy out there. Friday with a high of 64 with a low of 46 and some rain. And then Saturday really cooling off with a high of 57 and a low of 47 with partly cloudy. Well, Jillian, it's cooling off here, and I hear we're getting into colder sports.
That's right, Caleb. We're getting back into hockey season.
With the NHL season just starting up, stadiums are looking to fill their seats to capacity. Matt Larson, a Red Wings season ticket holder, loves watching hockey in person and pays for the 2 cheapest seats in the arena, which cost him about $74. Detroit is hoping that other fans will feel this same way because while they had an average capacity of 98% last season in the Little Caesars Arena, they were not always playing in a packed house. A lot of other NHL teams are also trying different tactics to increase sales, from monthly subscription packages to one-time ticket savings deals, and even mobile-only ticket sales. Whatever these teams can do to enhance the game day experience for the fans is being attempted. And on Monday in the NFL, Giants running back Saquon Barkley sustained an ankle injury during a New York and Tampa Bay game. After catching a swing pass, defensive back Mike Edwards took Barkley down near the sidelines at the end of the first half. Barkley was helped off the field and returned on crutches during the second half of the game. The Giants went on to win the game 32-31, but Barkley was confirmed to have a high ankle sprain. Moving forward, Wayne Goldman will be taking over for Barkley, but it looks like the Giants will have to sign another running back this season. The coach, Pat Shurmur, stated that the injury was unfortunate, but he is confident that their team will be able to move forward. And Paul Goldschmidt was honored during his return to the Arizona Diamondbacks stadiums with a tribute video and multiple standing ovations. Goldschmidt was traded after 8 years from the Diamondbacks to the Cardinals, and this was his first time back at the Chase Field. During the night, Goldschmidt hit a 2-run homer, hits 32nd of the season and 100th of his career, and the Cardinals beat the Diamondbacks 9-7 in their 6th straight win. Despite this, he said, quote, "I'm appreciative of all the fans coming out, cheering me on, and standing ovation, but I just didn't want to make too big a deal of it," unquote. And with that, that's all the time we have for you today on Public Eye News, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.